Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In this video I'd like to look at the 6B, which is the future of the British pound against the euro dollar. Sorry, not the euro dollar, against the dollar. So the 6B is the future of the British pound against the dollar. Now here we have an automatic trade set up on this 3-minute chart of the 6B. You can see it's a TS1 buy setup, but it's against a red STF. So the question being is, first of all, why would you want to consider a trade setup against the STF colour? And secondly, how would you actually trade that? Well, both these questions can be answered by going to the longer term charts, and this is what we always do. In fact, I'll just clear that analysis off. That's what I had on earlier. What we do is we look at the longer term charts to try and gauge the larger degree trend direction. So for this, we look at what this pivot was unfolding down here, because the TS1 buy setup was just after this first correction down here. So if we look at this decline on the 6B here, we place the analysis on here for the Elliott waves. Again, that's dead easy. Right mouse click, go over the bar, Elliott wave intermediate. You can see that MTPredictor has instantly found a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the important point is that this low here was right at the typical wave 5 WPT. So in other words, this low here was an important or larger degree 15-minute low. So with that in mind, when we go back to the 3-minute chart, we look at this here, we now know that off this low here, which is what our 15-minute, in fact all these lows here, because you can see it actually touched this quite a few times as the market bounced around at this level. So all around this level here, we knew we're at 15-minute support. That meant the large degree trend was up, therefore we should be taking buy setups. And more importantly is that any buy setups we take, we'd consider them to be what we call the Holy Grail trade setup, or an MTPredictor Holy Grail trade setup. So what's that? Well, an MTPredictor Holy Grail trade setup is where we get a buy setup that unfolds as the first correction after the first move of an important high or low. So we've already established that where the cursor is along here, we had some major support. Therefore, the initial rally off that support would be considered wave 1. Therefore, we'd be aggressively looking for an ABC correction into wave 2, and therefore would be anticipating a strong wave 3 type rally. And if I put the analysis on here, you can see, well, that's exactly what unfolded. 1, 2, up to wave 3. Just clear that off. So therefore, when we find a buy setup, as we did here in this particular case, we place the analysis on. Remember, we're using correct position sizing here to keep this initial risk small under control. We are not looking to come out at the first target, which is this level here. We're looking to come out at least into the third target, which is the typical wave 3 WPT. So at least we should be looking to trade this as a potential Holy Grail trade setup, or in this case here, the potential profit was plus 9R. Remember, these are put on your chart as the trade setups unfold. So at that level there, you'd already know that your Holy Grail target was up here at potentially plus 9R. So a very, very good trade setup. As we can see, the market unfolded brilliantly and rallied right up to this first level here. If we look at this, you can see as it went through the typical wave 3 WPT, our STF was what we call strong, in other words, past our strength barrier. Therefore, we could place on our ATRStop onto the chart and then look to run this trade a little bit further. So the idea being is when the STF is strong, it tells you that the move is strong, therefore you want to run your trade a bit further. So after our initial target there, we then use these blue dots to run the trade a bit further, and we would have been stopped out up here. So if I drag that up, you can see the profit here was well, an absolutely massive 12R. And this is the beauty of these Holy Grail trade setups, in that the profit that they generate are much, much, much larger than the initial risks. Here, this profit of approximately $4,500 was just over 12 times greater than the initial risk of 375. And that's why I consider the Holy Grail trade setup the best trade in the book, because it gets you in on a initial wave 2 correction to then get you in to the strongest move in any completed 5-wave sequence, and then completed Elliott wave 5-wave sequence, which is the wave 3, which usually has the strongest move. And as you can see here, it got you into this corrective low here just before the 6B or the British pound exploded into at least the typical wave 3 WPT. We then swapped to the ATRStop as our standard trade management guidelines dictates, and that would have then managed the trade up to around this level for a lovely 12.2 hour profit. So a very, very good example there of the Holy Grail trade setup on the 6B. Just a quick skip over to the actual Forex chart, which is the GBPUSD, which is the British pound US dollar, and there you can see there's the very same trade coming in as the TS1 buy setup there, with the profit projected at the first target of approximately 7R. If I now put on the indicators, I'll put on the ATRStop. As before, STF is strong. ATRStop, you'd have been held in till about there, and in that case it would have been a very nice 10R profit. So on the actual Forex chart itself, same setup with a lovely 10R profit. The trade setup on the 6B, which is the future of the Forex chart, would have been slightly better with a plus 12R trade. But either way, a couple of great examples of the MTPredictor Holy Grail trade setup, and all basically set up in advance by knowing that the market was at a larger degree support zone, which we already found out using our 15-minute chart, as you saw earlier in the video.